Hello and welcome to Tea Time Theater. My name is Gianna. Now, usually with our Tea Time Theater podcast, we usually have 2 or 3 or all 4 of us, but I thought I'd go ahead and do a couple of little solo things because I saw a couple shows of my own, or I had some thoughts that I really wanted to express just in solo long format. So I'm here to talk about a couple of things. We're going to have 3 different iterations of this. And the first one that I would like to discuss, I have titled Arcadia in Relation to Remembrance. This was a show that I saw by myself, and it's a very interesting show. Did I necessarily love it? No, but it made me think a lot. Some of the things that I initially wrote down were, will everyone who deserves to be remembered be remembered? Will they be remembered properly, in the right light? How do we determine who and what is worth remembering? And when I started thinking about these questions at the end of the show, I also realized these are questions that we have been asked as students in our Intro to Theater class. And it just kind of got me thinking more about the show and the themes and its relation to what we've been learning. So just to kind of give my initial thoughts about the show, I did think it was a little overly, it was a little self-indulgent to an extent. It was definitely written to be a very academic show. I mean, it's about working academics from multiple time periods, but it almost felt like it just wanted to show how smart it could be for as long as it could be at times. It just felt overly academic in the dialogue for truly anybody, including some of the smartest people I know, to listen to for 3 hours. But I would say, with some smart dialogue like that, there are some really good pieces and nuggets of wisdom to take from it. So, I mean, take with that what you will. Excuse me. Still recovering from a little illness. But the play centers around 2 academic women, one from 1809, who is just overly fascinated with calculus and all math and how the world works, and it's just so full of love and light and so fascinated by everything. Light being a very interesting circulatory metaphor throughout the entire show in its design too. And then the other one is from present day. I think by the time the show was written, it was 1990, so it is intended to be present day as in the 90s, but even though they kept the 90s aspects of some of the tech and things like that, they had a very old computer, it still felt very present day now to an extent, but it is supposed to be reminiscent of the 90s. It's about a woman named Hannah who explores in the same house that our original 1809 girl lived in. She explores her house and is studying the life of this hermit who used to live there and who designed their gardens and whatnot, and is trying not to get overly consumed by the romanticism of this entire history. And the show, I went to their website to look at some things before I went, and the show asks itself, can we ever truly understand the patterns of life, or are we forever poised on the edge of disorder? Which I thought was interesting because it's a little bit similar to the questions I had. Not exactly in the same way. I was very interested in the patterns of life, but it got me thinking more about the concept of history repeating itself, which I'll get into in a minute. But Hannah, our modern 90s woman, is ridiculed by her male colleague for romanticizing the history of her most recent book that she's put out, even though her research is concerned with the romantic imagination, which, of course it'll be romantic in writing and review, but it's also specifically in relation to the hermit and the garden, because he's designing the garden in the romantic imagination style. And in pursuit of all of this studying and living in the house to look at everything and explore everything and read through everything, she comes across her name is Thomasina. I never said that. Our woman from 1809 is named Thomasina. She finds her writings on entropy and other bits of calculus like that. Some really, really advanced studies and work that is ahead of her time. For a girl who, by the way, is like 14 years old when she's doing this. So, just putting that out there. I'd say probably the most insightful moment of this entire show to all of these questions, both that the show asked and that I have asked, comes from, I think it was about scene 3 and 4. It's both of those scenes back to back. There's a moment where Thomasina is like just bawling her eyes out to her tutor, his name is Septimus, about the Library of Alexandria and how it burned down and all of this knowledge and information is lost and how are we ever going to get it back, and it's just the most awful thing. And Septimus like sits her down and calms her down and explains to her that it's amazing that we even have anything from it. He like gave like numbers. He was like, we have X of this, we have Y of that, and we have this of that. And even though it's not a lot, he explains to her that everything that was once lost will always find its way back. And immediately following this scene, we see Hannah discovering Thomasina's math work, which I think is really, really interesting in a really special way, because it literally just reinforces the whole concept of, oh, everything that was lost will return. It will. Because, fun facts, hashtag spoilers, Thomasina dies in a fire at the age of 17. Right before she turned 17. So her work was never shown to anyone. Septimus never put it out for anyone to see. Her mother never did. Nobody did. It was lost in the house for years, and then someone else came up with the same concept, and that got widely popularized. But she figured it out first. That was also something that she was always concerned about. She was always concerned about, am I the first person to ever think of this? She asked that question like 3 or 4 times during the show, of just like random things. And it's so interesting to me, because I understand the question they're asking now of the pattern thing. The pattern of like female genius and discovery, it reminds me of when we went to the National Portrait Gallery. Walk with me here. It reminds me when we went to the National Portrait Gallery, and we were talking about all of these different women who were involved in the theater before it was technically legal. Because, you know, we all do things that are a little illegal sometimes, right? And all of these, like, people of color, women, you know, like all of these minority groups who were shaping the theater space as it has now come to be. But even beyond that, applying it to this show, minorities who were shaping art, science, history. There are so many unremembered people simply because we did not give them the capacity, or they never had the capacity or the ability to, not they don't have the capacity, clearly they do, not the ability to showcase that they have this genius to change the space that they're working in. And yeah, nobody else has seen this show. I don't think anybody else in our program has seen Arcadia. And I felt like it was important to talk about, because even though it wasn't my favorite show, I think that it just really speaks to, I think, a lot of feelings that women right now sometimes go through, where we have these great ideas and we have this genius and we want to share it and we want to be taken seriously, but sometimes we get thrown under the bus and we get lost. But it's up to other women to see each other and to raise us up and to showcase the work that we have. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's kind of what I thought about Arcadia. So that's installment 1 of Tea Time Theater with Gianna. I'll see y'all in the next one.